Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive with us. Today we are talking all about work-life balance.
Yeah, definitely a hot topic.
It really is, and we're going to be taking a look at this awesome article I found from Liateo Wellness.
Oh yeah, I've seen that site. It's great.
Yeah, they have a ton of information about pretty much anything you can think of when it comes to like fitness and mental health.
Yeah, nutrition too.
Oh yeah, tons of stuff about nutrition too. But for today, we're going to focus on their take on work-life balance.
Sounds good. I know you've been feeling a little overwhelmed lately, so hopefully we can find some good strategies.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, so right off the bat, the article jumps into this idea that work-life balance, it's kind of a myth.
A myth.
Well, not a myth exactly, but more like there's no one perfect solution for everybody.
Ah, I see what you mean. It's not like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Exactly. And they really emphasize that it's not about like minimizing work and maximizing free time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's about finding that balance between both, managing your responsibilities at work, but also in your personal life without feeling like you're drowning.
So true. It's like finding that sweet spot.
Exactly. Sweet spot. I like that. Okay, so one of the first things the article dives into is the importance of setting boundaries.
Oh yeah, boundaries. Those are
Oh,
key.
right. And I think that's something that a lot of people, especially in your field, struggle with.
Oh, absolutely. The lines between work and personal life can get so blurred.
Totally. And what's interesting is that the article doesn't just say set boundaries. They really dig into the psychology of why it's so hard for us.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, they say it's often because we feel guilty, you know, like saying no or setting limits, especially if we're used to being the go-to person.
Mm, that's so true. It's like we're programmed to be available all the time.
Right, exactly. So the article suggests that it's super important to like define your work hours and actually communicate those boundaries
Communicate them too.
to your colleagues. Let them know, hey, these are the hours I'm available.
Oh, that's important. Definitely. Setting expectations and stuff.
Yeah, and they also emphasize communicating those boundaries to family and friends too.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's about managing expectations on all fronts.
Yes, exactly. It's not just about work, it's about protecting your personal time and your well-being overall.
I love that. Protecting your well-being.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a big formal announcement. It can be as simple as saying, "Hey, after 7 p.m., I'm checking out for the night."
Yeah, just like setting those boundaries.
Right. And another thing they mention is the importance of physical boundaries,
Physical. What do you mean?
like having a designated workspace if you work from home.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, so when you're in that space, you're in work mode. But when you step outside of it, you can actually switch off and relax.
I like that. So you're not just working all over the place and blurring the lines.
Exactly. That's what they say.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. Setting those boundaries is just the first step, though, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just the beginning.
There's a lot more to this whole work-life balance thing, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, for sure. We've only just scratched the surface.
So what's next? What's the next hurdle we got to tackle?
Well, once you've got those boundaries in place, the next challenge is prioritization.
Oh, yeah, because even if you've got your hours set, there's always going to be more to do than time allows.
Mm.
Right.
Tell me about it. It's like a never-ending to-do list.
It really is. Well, the article has some good advice for that, actually. They say the key is not just making a to-do list, but figuring out what to tackle first.
Oh, okay, so it's like prioritizing.
Exactly. And they talk about how it's super important to not just think about what's urgent, but also what's actually important in the long run.
That makes sense. Sometimes the urgent stuff isn't actually that important.
Right, like checking email every 5 minutes. That might feel urgent, but is it really moving the needle on your bigger goals?
Not really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they suggest asking yourself, what tasks will have the biggest impact if I get them done today?
Oh, that's a good question to ask.
Yeah, right. And they also talk about the importance of delegating.
Delegating. Ugh, that's my weakness.
I know it can be hard,
Yeah.
especially for people who are used to doing everything themselves.
Oh, that's me for sure. I always feel like I can do it faster and better myself.
I totally get it. But sometimes that can backfire. You end up burning yourself out trying to do it all.
Yeah, so true.
And the article actually talks about how delegating can actually be a sign of strong leadership.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it shows that you trust your team and that you're willing to empower them.
I never thought about it that way.
It's a shift in perspective for sure.
Okay, so what about the stuff that you can't delegate? And it's not super important.
Ah, well, they have some advice for that too. They talk about the power of saying no.
No.
Yeah, no. It can be hard, especially if you're a people pleaser, but it's crucial for protecting your time and energy.
Yeah, I think I say yes to too many things sometimes.
It's easy to do,
Yeah.
but learning to say no is like a superpower when it comes to work-life balance.
Okay, I need to work on that one for sure. So we've talked about boundaries, prioritization, saying no. It's a lot.
It is. It's like building a whole new way of approaching work and life.
Exactly. But what about the stuff that you just can't plan for? Like those unexpected things that pop up and throw your whole schedule off?
Well, that's where the article talks about embracing flexibility.
Oh, okay. So like being able to roll with the punches?
Exactly. They say rigid schedules can actually backfire because life is unpredictable.
Tell me about it. I used to try to plan every minute of my day, and then one unexpected meeting would throw everything off.
Yeah, I've been there too. So they suggest being more flexible with your schedule and being open to adjusting as needed.
Makes sense. So it's not about sticking to a plan no matter what, but more about having a plan but being willing to adapt.
Exactly. And they also suggest exploring flexible work arrangements with your employer.
Oh, like working from home or having flexible hours?
Yeah, things like that. They say a lot of companies are becoming more open to these kinds of arrangements.
Yeah. That's good to know. Maybe I should talk to my boss about working from home a couple days a week.
It's definitely worth a conversation. And even if you can't change your work schedule drastically, just having a flexible mindset can make a big difference.
Yeah, just being able to go with the flow and not freak out when things don't go according to plan.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about boundaries, prioritization, flexibility. It's a lot to take in, but I'm starting to see how these pieces fit together.
It is a lot, but it's like creating a framework for a more balanced and intentional life.
I like that. Intentional.
It's about making conscious choices about how you spend your time and energy.
So it's not just about like hacks and
No,
tricks.
it's deeper than that. It's about a mindset shift.
Okay, so where do we go from here? What are some practical ways to actually implement these ideas?
Well, the article goes into some time management tips.
Oh, time management. I need help with that one.
We all do, but they actually keep it pretty simple. They suggest going back to the basics like planning your day and allocating specific time slots for different tasks.
Okay, I've tried that before, but I always end up overestimating how much I can get done.
I know the feeling. They actually say it's better to underestimate and then be pleasantly surprised.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Right. Better to underpromise and overdeliver than the other way around.
Totally agree. So it's about setting realistic goals and breaking them down into smaller chunks.
Exactly. And they remind us that good old calendars and planners can be super helpful for staying organized.
Oh, man, I haven't used a planner in years. Maybe I should dig mine out of the drawer.
It might be worth a try. Sometimes those low-tech solutions are the best. But here's a tip that might surprise you. They strongly advise against multitasking.
Wait, really? But I thought multitasking was like the key to productivity.
I know, right? It feels like we're all supposed to be multitasking masters.
Yeah.
But the article actually cites research that shows it can actually decrease productivity.
Oh, wow, interesting.
Yeah, it's like our brains can only really focus on one thing at a time.
So it's better to just focus on one thing at a time and give it your full attention.
That's what the research suggests. And I have to say, in my own experience, I found that to be true. When I try to multitask, I just end up feeling scattered and stressed.
Yeah, and the quality of your work probably suffers too.
Exactly. But when I focus on one task at a time, I get more done, and I feel much calmer.
Okay. I'm starting to see the light. Maybe my constant need to check email while I'm working on other things is actually sabotaging me.
It's definitely something to think about. Experiment with single tasking and see what happens. And don't forget about breaks.
Breaks. Won't that just slow me down?
Actually, the article says regular breaks are essential for preventing burnout and actually boosting productivity.
I guess that makes sense. It's like when you're working out, you need to rest between sets to let your muscles recover.
Exactly. Same thing with your brain.
Yeah.
You need to give it a chance to recharge.
So even a 5-minute break can make a difference.
Absolutely. Get up, stretch, take a walk outside, listen to some music, just step away from your work and clear your head.
Okay, I can do that. And it all comes back to that idea of self-care, right?
All right. Exactly. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah,
If you're not taking care of yourself, you can't be effective in other areas of your life.
that is so true. And speaking of self-care, that's the next section of the article.
Oh, perfect segue. It is a great segue. It's like they knew what we were talking about.
Right. Okay, so they say self-care is super important, but honestly, it's usually the first thing to go when I get stressed.
Oh, I totally get it. We've all been there.
It's like I tell myself I don't have time for it.
Yeah, but the article really emphasizes that self-care doesn't have to be this huge time commitment.
Okay, so like what are we talking about here?
Well, they talk about incorporating things like regular exercise into your routine.
Exercise. Ugh.
I know it can sound daunting, but it doesn't have to be like training for a marathon.
Oh, okay. That makes me feel better.
Yeah, even just going for a walk or doing some yoga can make a big difference.
Yeah, I do like yoga, actually.
There you go. And of course, they also talk about the importance of sleep.
Sleep. Yeah, that's a big one.
It's so crucial. It's when our bodies and minds repair and recharge.
Yeah, I know I should be getting more sleep.
I think we all could. But it's not just about quantity, it's also about quality.
Oh, that's interesting. So, like, how do you improve sleep quality?
Well, they suggest creating a relaxing bedtime routine, like avoiding caffeine and alcohol before bed,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and making sure your bedroom is dark and quiet and cool.
Like a sleep sanctuary.
Exactly. And beyond those basics, they also talk about incorporating things like mindfulness and relaxation techniques.
Oh, like meditation. I've tried that before, but I always feel like my mind is racing.
I know meditation can be tough,
Ah,
but it's a practice, not a destination.
what do you mean?
Well, it's not about clearing your mind completely. It's more about noticing your thoughts without judgment.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
And even just a few minutes a day can make a difference.
Okay. I might have to give that another try.
And there are other things too, like deep breathing
Oh, those
exercises.
are good. I do those sometimes when I'm feeling stressed.
Exactly. It's like a built-in stress reliever.
I like that. Built-in stress reliever.
And, they also emphasize the importance of making time for hobbies and activities that bring you joy.
Oh, yeah, that's important. I haven't played my guitar in ages.
It's so easy to let those things slide when we get busy.
It is, but it makes such a difference when I actually make time for those things.
Totally. It's like filling your cup back up.
I love that analogy. Okay, so we've talked about boundaries, prioritization, self-care. It's a lot.
It is a lot, but it's all connected.
Yeah, it's like a holistic approach to well-being.
Exactly. And speaking of connections, the article also talks about building a strong support system.
Like having good friends and family.
Yes. They say it's crucial to have people you can rely on, people who will listen to you and offer support.
Yeah, I'm lucky I have a great support system outside of work.
That's awesome. But what about at work? It can be tough to find that kind of support sometimes.
Yeah, it can be a competitive environment.
Totally. But they suggest making an effort to connect with colleagues who you trust and respect.
So like building relationships that go beyond just work stuff?
Exactly. And they even suggest being open with your colleagues about your efforts to achieve better work-life balance.
Wait, really? Like actually talking to them about it?
Yeah. They say by being open about it, you might inspire others to do the same.
Oh, that's a good point. It's like leading by example.
Exactly. And speaking of disconnecting from work, they end the article with a section that's super relevant these days.
Oh yeah, the whole always connected thing.
Ugh, it's so hard to disconnect, isn't it?
It really is. My phone is like an extension of my hand.
I feel you.
Yeah.
But they say that constant connectivity can really blur the lines between work and life.
Yeah, and that can lead to more stress.
Exactly. So they suggest setting specific times to check work emails and messages, and then sticking to those boundaries.
Oh, that's a good idea. Like creating a no work zone.
Exactly.
What?
And they suggest using technology to your advantage.
How so?
Well, things like setting up automatic email replies for after hours, or turning off work notifications during personal time.
Oh yeah, those are good tips. It's like taking back control of technology.
Exactly. Don't let it control you.
Wow, this has been so insightful. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on work-life balance.
Me too. It's
Yeah.
been great chatting about this with you.
Thanks for joining me. And to everyone listening, I hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought. Remember, work-life balance is a journey, not a destination. It's about finding what works for you and making conscious choices that support your well-being. So go out there and create a life that feels good.